Greetings ladies and gentlefish, and welcome back to another video full of subscriber replays. All of these are going to be light tanks. Now, you know, patch 9.18, Wargaming decided to revamp the light tanks, rebalance them, so we got rid of light tank, or scout matchmaking I should probably call it. That became a thing of the past. All the light tanks got rebalanced. Some of them were moved up a tier, some of them were moved down a tier, some of them weren't either, but they received, let's say, some buffs or some nerfs or something along those lines. But I don't think I've really showcased any of the patch 9.18 and onwards light tanks yet. So, with that in mind, that's what we're going to do in this video. Kicking off proceedings with British B, who at the time of recording this was in one of the QSF clans, and he is driving the Chinese tier 6 light, the 5916. Now, this thing was a machine that I used to despise. It seemed to be very much a Marmite tank. You either loved it or you hated it. You had a choice effectively between two guns. You had a 57mm gun that was basically the same as the MT25, just worse. Which wasn't a particularly inspiring gun. It was the stock gun on the tank, but it did at least have some penetration to work with. Or you had the auto-loading 76mm gun with absolutely god-awful penetration, even with premium rounds, but very, very fast clip, unload, speed, and reload, and all that jazz. So for an auto-loader, it got very high DPM. It then basically appeared to have done away with that, and British here is just using a single-shot 76mm gun. Basically, it's the same gun, but they've buffed the penetration on it, and of course effectively brought the 5916 down a tier. It is still at tier 6, as it always was, but as scout matchmaking is no longer a thing, then you're match made as a tier 6 tank instead of effectively a tier 7 tank. So it means you can actually go back to firing armor-piercing rounds out of the 76mm gun without it being completely god-awful. Hurrah! Anyway, so this is a tier 6 match. British B is therefore top tier, and we're here on airfield. Hello, Mr. Stewart. Nah, you're no fun. That's it. Nah. Boo, boo, oblivious tank destroyer. Nope. Right, now this does seem almost a little unfair. I'm not used to light tanks being top tier. I know it's been, you know, they've been top tier for a patch or two now, but I'm still not really used to it. So British puts one shot into that TD. There's the second one. The guy's got 6 health remaining. He is not feeling too clever anymore. Oh, by the way, did I mention this was the airfield map in case anyone hadn't noticed? Oh, Buddy takes a Largo shot to the face. Only a small gun, so nothing to be hugely concerned about, but still something worth bearing in mind. Drops down this ridgeline because, let's be honest, he really doesn't have all that much support over here. And if those guys decide that they want to use their W key and actually push around, that's going to give British some problems, so, yeah. Scoreline is 3-5, 4-5, so the friendly team have pulled a kill or two back, which is nice, and British decides to see what he can do about this A20. Takes a hit for his troubles, A20 takes another shot. Actually looks like he manages to bounce that shot, which was a bit unsurprising. Where does it look like the guy hit him? Possibly an extreme angle on the turret roof. Okay, fair enough. And British is able to kill him for his, well, first kill. Stewart away in the distance. Bounces the Stewart as well. You can't expect the 5916, generally speaking, to bounce shots, I feel I should point out. British is getting a little lucky here. Hello, Mr. AMX. How are you today? Put one shot into the Frenchie. There's a second shot into the Frenchie. And spot out a Crusader who appears to be going on a magical, mystical journey of discovery and isn't really paying attention to anything that's going on. Also, the Stewart appears to get in his way when he tries to get behind a rock, which is kind of amusing. And there's the Largo who probably shot British in the face earlier on. There's quite a lot of friends around here. And back in the old days, shall we say? Let's make myself sound aged. Of course, this tank would not have been in this matchmaking. Tier 7 games would have been the best thing it saw. Oh god, there's a leopard behind us. Thankfully, he's not using the little auto-loadery, auto-cannon thing. He does have a, I think it's a 5cm gun there, and does actually manage to take off a reasonable amount of British's health, which is slightly problematic. Tracks the AMX-12T into position, which means hopefully the next shot can pick up kill number 3. Stuart appears to be going ham. Yeah, perhaps not the best decision he could have made. That's a stock Crusader by the look of it. That's a dead Largo. You can tell it's stock by the shape of the face of the turret. Is he using the howitzer? He is. That was 164 damage penetrating HE round from the howitzer. You don't see Crusaders with the howitzer very often. Clearly a stock tank. He's using the howitzer probably because he already had it unlocked, I would imagine. And Flat Panzer tells British well done. Always nice to see a little bit of friendly chat going on in these games. By the way, British has picked up 6 kills at this point. 1,717 damage that we have seen. And he hasn't used any of his premium rounds. Now, he does have some, but matchmaking like this, you really don't need them. With your regular armor-piercing rounds, you get 138 pen with this gun now, and 180 with a PCR. Marder 38T, this is one of those rare situations where some high explosive would actually be quite useful, because that guy would probably already be dead, and British wouldn't have had to run away from him. But having said that, I mean, these light tanks do tend to have quite a limited ammunition capacity, so you do have to consider what ammo you're taking quite carefully. Marder 38T still up here, of course. M44 artillery piece is also up here. And, ooh, British manages to execute the Marder, but takes a hit for his trouble. Thankfully, the Marder low rolls and leaves British on 1, count them, 1 hit point. Manages to avoid getting rammed by the artillery, and he is done. British is now onto his APCR rounds because he's run out of armor piercing. M37 RT in the distance is the only guy left, and British is firing these APCR rounds, expensive ammunition, at a distance of hundreds of meters while on the move against a moving target. Don't think they were ever really going to hit, but there we go. That was the match. Let's go and have a look at the post-battle stats for this one. Right then, that was enough for British. For Ace Tanker, Hand of God, Bruiser, Duelist, Fire for Effect, High Caliber Top Gun, and a Radley Walters medal for those 8 kills, which is pretty nicely done. 2,267 damage, 8 kills, 1,395 base experience. 10 hits received, which is very unusual, very low caliber guns firing at British in that match. A little bit lucky in that sense, but not to take anything away from it. Actually bounced some of them. Finished the game on 1 hit point. Spotted 5 enemy tanks. Killed 8 of them, damaged 9 of them. Little bit of assistance damage into the bargain, and with a standard account that was still a 16,500 credit profit for a 7-minute match. None too shabby. Let's go and have a look at another one then. Keeping with the Chinese theme then, we are moving up to Tier 7. This is the WZ-131. Tier 7, as I just said, Chinese light tank, being driven for us today by Dampney. You may recognise that name. We have seen him before. He was driving the WZ-132, if memory serves. So he does seem to do pretty well in, and presumably enjoy, his Chinese light tanks. Now, I must confess, the previous replay, 5916, I haven't played the tanks since they have made changes to them. The WZ-131 I have played, and whilst I'm not going to say that this is a bad tank, it is a tank that, well, I never used to like it when they first introduced it. I don't like it now either, so my opinion's a little bit biased perhaps, but this is not about me, this is about Dampney. He takes up some fairly aggressive spotting locations just to find all the enemy bad guys. This is a tier 7 match, so Dampney is top tier, and he's currently got almost 700 assistance damage straight off the bat, although someone does shoot him. Now, Dampney has not been spotted. Presuming that he has 6th sense, which he does, that was a blind shot from the E25, so well played to him. Oh, Dampney gets tracked. That's a bit concerning, but manages to drop down and avoid a direct hit from artillery. The artillery only stuns him. So a good amount of assistance damage and a couple of shots into people already, which is pretty nice. Or rather, I should say, a shot and some fire. Going after this German Sparpanzer now, the German equivalent, tier 7 light tank. Spots out a T-67 of all things as Dampney is making his rounds and doing his little investigative journalism in a tank, because of course when you're in a tank, investigative journalism is exactly what you're doing. I've no idea where I'm going with that, I'm going to be honest. 4-0 is the scoreline anyway. Chinu over to the right hand side, seems a little bit oblivious. Ah, why couldn't he just stay there? Dirty swine. So we got a Chinu T-67 over here. There was an E-25 around somewhere, although as ever spotting those things is a bit of a pain. And there's the wonderful nature of Chinese light tank guns, as it just, no, it's not gonna hit. We've also got, ooh, box tank. Oh dear, that's got a dirty great big gun. Box tank is, however, getting shot up. That's the SU-100Y for anyone who is interested and not already aware. And there's the E-25. So Dampney has spotted out all of the things and is now hoping that his team will shoot all of the things. Worth pointing out, by the way, Dampney does actually have 2 marks of excellence on his WZ-131, so he is presumably pretty good with it. You know, 2 mark of excellence in light tanks, yeah, that's usually, well, any tank, it's usually a good indicator that you're not a complete scrub in the machine. So Dampney's just been working this kind of crater area. I'm never quite sure what to call it on this map. Well, the map, of course, is Serene Coast, for anyone who wasn't aware. I had to actually check what the name of it was, because whilst I remember the map, names, me, don't really work out so well. Scoreline's 5-4, and Dampney is driving over to the other side of the map at this point. Scoreline is 5-5. And, well, where he's going, he will possibly be able to spot out some artillery, and he might be able to take the box tank E-25 and T-67 from behind, which would be quite entertaining. Speaking of which, it's box tank, yay! Now this 85mm gun is kind of odd gun. It's the only 85mm gun I'm aware of that has 200 alpha damage. Usually they have, what, 160 or 180. This one packs 200 with about 160 penetration if memory serves. 159. There's a bit more assistance damage for Dampney. Hello box tank. Goodbye box tank. With premium rounds, your alpha damage is still 200, your penetration goes up to 230. I remember back in the days when this tank used to get, it wasn't that long ago, a 100mm gun as an option. But you don't have that anymore. Ooh, artillery managed to hit the E-25, nicely done. You've just got this 85mm gun as your top gun. Hello Artie! Put a shot into him. One more shot into him should finish him off. Don't need to fire high explosive or anything like that. But gun depression, fighting with it. And does take a hit from the T-67. E-25 is getting shot up though, and, well, there goes the artillery. E-25 is a one-shot. Even if Dampney takes a shot from him here, that's not the end of the world as long as he gets the kill like that. Oh! Ah! That's an SU-100. That thing hurts, even though it's only tier 6. And small hillocks and whatnot get the better of Dampney's aim there. Bounce on the SU-100, unfortunately. But Dampney doesn't want to sit out there in front of that guy's gun. That is not a particularly advisable thing to do. Scoreline is actually even here, 9-9. The friendly team have 2 tanks in the enemy capture circle, which is nice. Okay, 10-9 now. And the enemy team have really pushed along that sort of hooked region where heavy tanks often go to die. And they don't have any of their top tier tanks remaining. Dampney's team, of course, have got the M12 artillery piece and Dampney's WZ-131 here. So they do have some top tier tanks. Now, Dampney does need to be a little bit careful of that artillery and presumably of the T-67 who just shot him. There goes the artillery. Dampney's fuel tanks get damaged in the process, and that makes it, well, a little bit of a concern. They're damaged. If someone decides to shoot them again, Dampney will be burning. HE round here wouldn't be a terrible idea, but Dampney was loading armor piercing, so goes in for the ram to leave the guy on 19 health. Takes a hit from the T-67. Takes another hit, but Dampney's able to execute him. Repairs the gun, and good night, Vienna. Finishes off the T67 in the distance, the other T67 for the game. Nicely played game overall there from Dampney, so let's go and see how he did. Ace Tanker, Spotter, Hand of God, Duelist, Fighter, Fire for Effect, Scout Patrol Duty, and High Caliber. Nicely done indeed. 1,856 damage done. Kind of surprised that's enough for a High Caliber at tier 7, but apparently it is. 5 kills, 1,332 base experience. In addition, of course, to that damage, Dampney had 2.2k assistance damage, well, closer to 2.3k, and that 7-minute match was enough for a almost 22,000 credit profit and a reasonable amount of experience. So, a nice result there from Dampney in his WZ131. We've got one more game to show you in this particular replay. For our third replay then, we are going to be following Baldric, yay! He is platooned up with Gixxer66 and Hugs and Kisses. Pretty sure Hugs and Kisses is from the forum, but I could be wrong there. Anyway, he is driving the German tier 7 light tank, the Sparpanzer 1C. And he is here on the Lakeville map. And with any luck, he is going to prod a prodigious amount of buttock. Now, much like the previous replays, he is top tier. Gets down into one of these bushes. Nice location to use on this map to get yourself some spotting. Immediately spots out the WZ131, who starts getting absolutely friggin' wrecked, and he is dead. Also manages to spot out, or I should say someone is spotting out, I don't actually think it is Boulders. Someone is spotting out the Tiger, Chiri, and IS. You can see there it is not Baldric, it is most likely the Leo who has gone down the central road down by the lake there. So, Sparpanzer 1C, I did a review of this machine when Wargaming initially introduced it. This was a replacement for the Aufklärungspanzerpanther. And if you ever go and look at that review, please do bear in mind, I did it, like I say, when the tank was first released. Since then, this tank has been changed quite a lot. There were several things that annoyed me about the machine that Wargaming did rectify, and now of course they rebalanced all the light tanks, so yeah, it's quite a different machine now. One thing however that has not changed is the god-awful shell velocity. You have a 90mm gun here. It has 158 penetration, 220 alpha damage, and a shell velocity that, well, you could probably walk faster. Or possibly post the shells to the enemy and ask them if they'd be so kind as to insert them into their bodies. But there we go. You know, the thing is, this tank used to, of course, be match-made effectively as a tier 8 machine, and then the 90mm gun still had a god-awful shell velocity, but it had a bit more alpha damage and a bit more pen. But now, of course, not so much. It does mean that leading shots with this gun is quite difficult. It takes a lot of getting used to, and you can see Baldric missed a few shots towards the beginning of this match, and misses one there. But he did pull off a couple of good hits against that IS, for example, and another one against that T-34-100. Takes a hit there from the enemy Panther M10, unfortunately, and the position of that Panther M10 is, well, a little unfortunate. But let's not worry too much about that. IS away in the distance, there we go. Now, if you have a look at the mini-map, I know there's mini-map in World of Tanks, some people don't seem to have realised this, then you can see, this is of course an encounter game. The encounter capture circle is over in the town, and you can see the enemy team committed 3, at least, top-tier tanks, 4, sorry, top-tier tanks, top-tier heavy tanks, well, I say top-tier, all the machines in this match are tier 7, but 4 of their tanks to a valley push. And only now, almost 4 minutes into the match, only now, oh wow, cheers mate, cheers. Nice one. Only now have the enemy team, with absolutely no resistance facing them, made it through the actual valley. And what are they going to do? What are they going to do? Once they've done so, the key location is in the town. And Baldric just had to deal with the idiot in the artillery. Now, on the one hand, the artillery was presumably trying to run away from that Oni. I understand that, I get it. On the other hand, he kind of screwed Boulders up here, and Baldric showed a very commendable amount of restraint not to just kill the guy. A lot of people would have started shooting their teammate at that point, but Baldric is better than that. Now, unfortunately, Baldric does move after firing his gun there. Well, fired his gun and then moved, and he does get spotted out for his troubles. Now, light tanks do retain their camo rating on the move, which is nice, but of course, once you've fired your gun, your camo rating will get worse, so that is something worth bearing in mind. Does manage to put a couple of shots into that T-29, however, and you can see that T-29 has taken a right wheel thrashing even before he manages to make it into town, and he never actually gets into the town. He is executed for his troubles. Boulders comes over here, expecting to find the Panther, and, well, he does, but he also finds a Tiger P. Now, thankfully, his teammates are in position to do useful things. Less helpfully, Boulders does get shot there by the enemy Tiger P. So, there is damage going in on these fellows. What is this artillery doing? He's done it again. He's crashed into the enemy Leo, and then just drives in front of Baldric's gun and takes a hit. That's not really Baldric's fault. And I think part of it is that with the Crusader SP you have to drive it backwards, which is a bit weird and does take a little bit of getting used to, but, well, get used to it. that doesn't really forgive you just driving into people and really wrecking their game. So get over it. Oni, and, well, there were two Onis on the road running along the side of the lake. There was an 87 who also went down the valley, though we don't currently know where he is. And Baldric has decided that he is going to go round into the town. I mean, you don't want to be taking those guys on head on. That's a terrible idea. Instead, Baldric is going to get some flanking shots because he's a light tank. Why wouldn't he? So, all the way through the town here. By the way, I feel I should point out, at this point the friendly team could probably have won this game by capping. That is one of the big problems with the push through the valley, especially on an encounter game. The friendly team, or a team, can just win by cap. And then what? You've captured the valley. Well done. Well, how's that going to help you? Anyway, some nice assistance damage coming in on these enemy tanks for Baldric there. Finds the 87. Finds the flank of the 87. Bounces on the 87. Hurrah! Always good, isn't it? Now, I haven't actually played this tank since it was introduced. Judging from this replay, I'm not really sure that I want to, if I'm going to be brutally honest. But we'll see. We'll see. I've never been a huge fan of this tank anyway. And I've already aced it and whatnot, so I don't really have any massive compunction to go back and play the thing, but we shall see. So Baldric comes around the flank of this 87, who is distracted by shooting up the friendly Tiger P. Like, really distracted. So Baldric just takes his track out. And, yay! Fixed casemate tank destroyers. Straight into the commander's hatch there, and remember that friendly artillery piece who's been a nuisance throughout this entire match? Yeah, he did just splash Baldric. Yes, he did just take a careless shot against a target that doesn't need to be shot because it's a fixed, non-turreted tank destroyer with a light tank behind it. Yes, Baldric did just get shot by his quote-unquote friendly Tiger 1 there, by the way. There's a shot from the 87. Thankfully, Baldric is able to kill the 87. No help from his team there whatsoever. They're a bit of a bunch of muppets. And they seem to be determined to try and kill Baldric themselves. So, there we go. Anyway, ended up being quite a nice result there for Baldric, so let's go and see how well he actually did. So that game was enough for Baldric's first mark of excellence in the Sparpanzer 1C. Ace, Tanker, Spotter, Bruiser, Fire for Effect, and a Confederate Medal, which is pretty nice to have. 3,444 damage done, 1 kill, 1,451 experience. If we actually have a look at how the team performed overall. Gixxer 66, Baldric's platoon mate, managed over 1,000 base XP and 2,500 damage in his T20, which is very nice. One of the many Tigers on the... There we go. This guy is an absolute rock star, far too careless. Hey look, there's someone over there that I can shoot. Yeah, but there's an ally in the way. Who cares? I can shoot through him, right? Oh dear. And of course then we had our wonderful friend in the Crusader, SP, who words fail sometimes. They really, really do. Anyway, 28 shots fired, 21 hits, 17 penetrations for that damage count. About 2/3 from long range and 1/3 from close range. 3 hits received, none of them bounced or anything like that. Unfortunately, a little bit of damage caused to allies because that artillery piece literally drove right in front of Baldric's gun as he was pulling the trigger. That's just one of those things. 4 enemy vehicles spotted, 8 damaged, 1 destroyed, and 2,243 assistance damage into the bargain. 2.73 kilometers travelled, and for an 8-minute match, 24,500 credits. Sorry, 25,000 credits. Thank you very much with a standard account. Very, very nice indeed. So there we go. I hope you guys enjoyed that little slew of light tank games. If you did, by all means feel free to catch some of my other videos and or subscribe to my channel. If you would wish to send me your own replays, of course, upload them to whatreplays.com. Send me the URL as a link on YouTube and I shall take a look. I wish you very happy hunting on that battlefield as ever. Ciao, ciao.